body, and I'll kind of touch on these different imbalances each week of the challenge, whether it's hormonal, biochemical, inflammatory, endocrine, stress. All these different imbalances in the body can be our biggest factor in why we can't lose weight. We may be eating right, okay, we may be exercising right, and on paper we should be losing weight. Why aren't we? And there are a lot of imbalances for a lot of people, and so that's where you eat right, you exercise right, and you're not losing the weight. And there's other avenues to look at, because there are reasons why we can't lose weight beyond eating. Okay, so we'll focus on avoid or limit, like Jenny said, okay, dessert or sugar, once a week. If that's your goal, I say put it in your schedule, okay, like you schedule a massage, like you schedule work or clients, and stick to that schedule. If we plan, we're more likely to success, right, or to succeed, right? If we fail to plan, we plan to fail, right? So put those things in your plan. I want you to avoid, as much as possible, grains and dairy, okay? They're two of the most inflammatory things that we can put into our body. Our fat cells love to create inflammatory cells, okay? So we feed our body more inflammatory products, those fat cells start to produce more inflammatory cytokines, which are making it harder for you to lose weight, okay? So also a benefit to eating anti-inflammatories are carbohydrates, right? Okay, it's going to help a lot of things. Practicing mindfulness, okay? Some of you may already do this. I'm more of an intuitive, I'm more focused on intuitive eating for my clients, okay? So am I hungry? Okay. Am I feeding hunger, emotion, but you should be eating. If you're physically hungry, that's your body telling you, okay, I need more nutrition. I need more fuel on board. I need more protein. I need more micronutrients. I need more healthy fat, okay, to support what I'm doing every day. So listen to your body. That's the number one thing, okay? If you're hungry, you should eat. When your body says, okay, I'm satisfied, it's time to stop, right? We don't want to stuff ourselves. When it comes to eating, digestion starts to tell, right? So I say for optimal digestion, you should chew 30 times, okay? That chewing starts to secrete digestive enzymes. It primes the stomach to increase HCl, and then the pancreas to secrete those digestive enzymes. Okay, so that when you're eating, you chew it 30 times, you're really going to absorb all the nutrients, you're bringing all the nutrients from the food. So taking time to eat your food. Okay, it takes about 20 minutes from the time you start eating to send the message to your brain. It's called CCK, cholecystokinin, that okay, I've eaten, I'm full. Okay, so like when you're starving and you get home and you eat so much in 10 minutes and you don't feel stuffed in that first 10 minutes, and then that 11th minute you went from starving to stuffed, and that's why we didn't take time, right? We also say for optimal digestion, sit down and eat. Don't eat in a stress state, okay? Because stress is a sympathetic nervous system. Eating, digestion, absorption is parasympathetic nervous system. Our body can't do both. So it's better to not eat in a stressed state. It's better, even if you're hungry, it's better to wait until you can sit down, be mindful about eating that meal, okay? So just being aware of that, trying to work that in if you don't already do that. Journaling, I think, is a really helpful tool, just journaling, okay, I'm hungry, this is what I ate till I was satisfied or stuffed, or, and just reflecting on that each day and making adjustments as you go. And then really trying just to avoid processed foods, okay, so anything with a label, with a package, with, if you are eating protein bars, there's some things I've suggested that are very clean, whole food, few ingredients, okay, so life is busy, we do need convenience options, right, and sometimes, we fall off the wagon and we have one bad meal. It's not a big deal, it's one bad meal, it's not 5 weeks, it's one, and plan to happen. Don't expect yourself to be perfect in it, because perfection you're never going to succeed if you're aiming for perfection. We're aiming for 2 steps ahead or 3 steps ahead, 1 back, right, together as a group. So ultimately we get to our end result, and that's going to be a long-term result, right, versus going 110% and then we fall completely off the wagon and we're back at 0, right? So I kind of just wanted to keep that really simple. Any questions as far as, what's kind of expected of nutrition through this? Maybe we can get into specific questions that you might have. a vegetable? No, it's a legume. So you're right. So corn, wheat, barley, oats, rice, all of those things. And I'd say if you really love those things, you know, like if you love dessert, maybe you love your avocado toast. Okay, so what 1 or 2 days am I going to have avocado toast? And then avoid grains the rest. You know, that's balance. You know, like some people are all or none, right? Okay, I can't have none. I can't have any, or I'm going to have it every day.
Right.
You know, some people, okay, if I can have it once or twice, then I know I can keep going with this plan, right? So really thinking about yourself. How do you work? But just getting used
to good bread that you brought up.
Yes, yeah. So, I mean, ideally, you have your own sourdough that you ferment. You know, it's going to change the phytic acid of that. So, grains have something called phytic acid, okay? And it binds any calcium, magnesium, zinc, and iron that you eat with it, okay? So, people that soak the seeds or ferment to make a real sourdough, it's going to neutralize that acid. So, now you can absorb all the vital nutrients from it. The other big issue with grains, specifically gluten, is in America, are one piece of bread because of all the genetically modified organisms that we're eating, you know. So if you're eating non-organic bread, okay, it has about 10 times the amount of gluten as our ancestors had when they made gluten, you know. And gluten specifically in your gut, okay, creates something called zonulin. And zonulin breaks the holes in your intestinal lining, okay, which then alerts your immune system because whole food things are leaking out that are supposed to be attacking it. So you start to get your body in this immune response going, okay? You add other things that create inflammation and immune function, and you get into this phase where you're inflammatory all the time. You can't lose weight, you start to get autoimmune conditions, or you just don't feel good. So preventative health and anti-inflammatory, you know, that's why you really want to avoid those grains, gluten being one of the worst of all of them. But yeah, if you could ferment your own sourdough, culture bread, so I'm drawing a blank on the name in the Perry district. The grain shed. Yeah, they ferment theirs. So, you know, I buy that over gluten-free because I know that their seeds are non-GMO and how they bake it. To me, that's better than a gluten-free bread that's full of all these other fillers and stuff that's, you know, fake ingredients that's not good for our guts either, that can create inflammation. Does that answer your question?
Yep, the grain shed was on my mind.
Sorry, I had that grain shed bread 30 minutes ago. But what about the grain-free chips? Chips, like siete chips.
Yeah,
or tortillas.
You put them on here.
Yeah,
well,
so that's a great healthy alternative. They are grain-free, and they're also like any chips. I love chips. That's like I can't live without chips. I love chips. But if you can buy them in the avocado oil, that's going to be better than your safflower and sunflower oil. Okay, it's really high in omega-6s, which are really inflammatory. Avocado oil is not, so it's going to be a little bit better. Like if you're eating things.
Where can you get that siete?
You know, it's at Natural Grocers, Berries,
Costco has big
Costco
bags
has-
for the best
yeah.
price.
Oh,
Huge
Costco has
bags for like $5.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
Do you want to talk a little bit about fasting?
Oh yes, and fasting. So something that we also want to incorporate with this nutrition plan is fasting. It's a great tool to help increase energy, focus, immune function, recovery, weight loss. Okay, can help someone who is pre-diabetic resensitize their cells and become not diabetic. So it's a really, really beneficial tool. When our body fasts, okay, it takes 8 hours for our body of no food for our body to get into its natural detox pathways. We have a phase 1 and a phase 2 pathway. After 8 hours, if we're resting, our body starts to detox different byproducts that we create from breathing, from exercise, from digestion, okay? All these things. And the longer we go past that 8 hours, the more detoxing our body does. So eating up the bad cells, okay? Regrowing new cells. Okay, so basically to keep everything in the body fresh, right? And working as best as it can. I like to give the example of like the street sweeper that comes around and cleans up all the debris on the road. We create natural byproducts from daily processes, okay? Those people that do swing shift or never go more than 8 hours, they're slowly creating this toxic overload in their body, okay? Which means inflammation happens, free radicals damage your healthy cells. Now communication from this cell to this cell to this cell slows down. So energy slows down or immune function slows down. We start to get sick, joint pain, don't feel good, stress goes up, we start to store belly fat. So it's really important for a lot of reasons to give our body minimum 12 hours, okay? You need about 4 hours to get a pretty good detox. The longer you can go, the more detoxification that's gonna happen in the body, the more eating up of the bad cells that you create is going to happen, okay? So I encourage you to try a couple times a week going to 16 or 18 hours, okay? Now, if you are a carbohydrate runner, meaning someone who, you know, old school thought was we have to eat every 3 to 4 hours, or you're used to eating a little bit higher carb diet than fat, and so your body may prefer fat or prefer carb over fat for fuel, you may have a harder time with fasting. You may feel more the brain fog or the nauseousness, and not feel as great as your body adapts. It will over time get better, but that's the one thing that fasting does. It's going to help train your body to burn fat as its preferred source of fuel versus carbohydrate. The person that feels like they need to eat every few hours for energy, it's a good sign that you're a carbohydrate burner. Your body likes to burn carbs for energy. We want to train it to burn fat. You can do that through HIIT workouts and doing long steady state aerobic like walking. You're going to be burning fat while you're doing that, and by fasting. When you break that fast, you don't want to feed it a big carbohydrate diet because it's you know, kind of counterintuitive. So you want to do a good amount of protein, high healthy fat, and a little bit of carb, okay? If you like higher carb things, you know, if you're doing a HIIT workout, it would be great to have that higher carb meal that you like after a workout, okay? Or 2 hours before going into one, okay? If you're talking about timing, what's best with workout and carbohydrates, okay?
Coconut milk breaks the fast, right?
It does.
So if you put coconut cream or stuff like that in a coffee and you have that in the morning, that's going to break it.
Yes.
But your MCT oil and butter doesn't?
No, well, butter, I would do the MCT oil. Butter could, I mean, it has trace, very small trace of like carbohydrate, you know. But that's a great question. So what can you have while you're fasting? Coffee isn't going to break your fast. Okay, it actually increases fat burn, so it's a good thing to have. But MCT oil, so many, I don't know if you guys have heard of, you know, it's a very well marketed thing, MCT oil, okay, or just medium chain triglycerides, okay? So coconut oil has medium chain triglycerides in it. 2 of them which are healthy, which meaning they're liquid at room temperature, they go right to muscles for energy. The other 2, which is why coconut oil can be firm and hardened at room temperature, are the bad ones. They go to the liver first, can be converted to cholesterol and increase bad cholesterol. So we have an oil, it's Bulletproof Oil, and it only has the 2 healthy ones, okay? So you could take a teaspoon, a tablespoon, work up to a tablespoon, blend that into your coffee and drink that. So you're giving your body, and it increases your ketone bodies, which is a byproduct of burning fat, and those ketone bodies go right to the brain. Okay, so it's going to help with that brain fog as you're fasting. You know, the other thing, if you feel side effects from fasting, is adding electrolytes. Okay, that's really beneficial for a lot of people. Okay, or as you adapt to a lower carb diet too. If this is going to be really low carb for you, considering if you eat a lot of carbs, they call it the keto flu. You know, when you kind of have dizziness, you don't feel good. Adding electrolytes is the primary thing you can do to help
And
that.
the electrolytes won't break your fast, or you want to do that?
So there's different ones. Yeah, there's a product that I love. It's made in Liberty Lake. It's called Light Balance, and all that it is the electrolytes. It tastes a little minerally if it's, you know, not diluted, you know. But if you have like Noon with hydration, which has dextrose, and it has like D-ribose, which is it's a sugar that goes right to the muscles for energy, but it's going to add carbohydrate, so it's going to break that fast. Pure fat won't break the fast, but carbohydrate and protein will break the fast. If that clarifies what breaks it and what doesn't.
How do you feel about like adding a couple drops of stevia to the coffee?
Yeah, stevia is not going to break your fast. Yep, it has sugar. It's just natural. It's like a plant that's naturally sweet. Yeah.
Fabulous.
I know. And the best time to fast, you know, like, okay, should I, you know, eat dinner and then start my fast? Should I eat lunch and then start my fast? Part of it's family, you know, what's going to work best with your family. If it's important for you to be eating a meal when your family's eating, to be an example, then you're probably going to start after dinner, right? Okay, if you can start whenever, I always, logically, I think it makes the most sense to benefit detoxing to start like at 3 or 4, because you're hitting that 10, 12 hour max detox phase while you're still resting, okay? So devoted to energy and detoxing. So, but any time is beneficial. Oh, sorry, try not to chatter my teeth in front of all of you.
So, questions about like metabolism. Like everyone talks about, I mean, I hear alcohol lowers your metabolism. True.
So alcohol, the way that it's processed, increases fat synthesis. So there's truth to the matter. It does increase your body's ability to store fat, make fat. Okay. Does it slow down metabolism? Well, it's going to deplete your B vitamins. It's a stress to the body. So those things decrease metabolism.
I'm with you. Okay.
Free radicals are what slows down metabolism. Anything that's going to stunt your Krebs cycle, which is what makes ATP. ATP is what your cells use for energy. Try not to get too scientific here. So anything that's going to slow that down, and all these different micronutrients feed into that Krebs cycle. So pantothenic acid, like all your B vitamins. And so anything that's going to affect that is going to slow down metabolism,
So is there anything to be said about like not eating enough?
Yes, absolutely. So your body is very good at adaptation, right?
Enough.
And your body knows its main role is to keep you alive, right? It doesn't know that we have 10, 20, 30, 40 extra pounds of fat. It doesn't know that, okay? So when we start to not eat very much and we start to exercise more, which exercise then becomes a stressor, not an acute stressor, which acute stress is like when a bear's chasing you, your heart rate goes up, adrenaline, you get away, and then the bear's gone, stress goes down. That type of stress, which mimics like a HIIT workout, really hard efforts, recover. But for a short duration, that's very, very beneficial for fat burning, energy, that's very beneficial. When that stressor becomes chronic, okay, so chronic meaning not feeding the body enough nutrition, exercising too much, people that are doing 2 hours of cardio a day, okay, cortisol stays high. Cortisol is your fat storage hormone, okay? So, and it's also going to slow down metabolism, okay? When you're stressing the body, it's like, oh my gosh, I gotta keep functioning. So I'm going to slow down my metabolism so I require less nutrition to function how I'm functioning right now. So, and every time you eat, you do have a thermic, it's called a thermic effect of food. You're burning calories to break down the food you're eating. So if you're eating, once a day, 2 carrots, I mean, it's not very much, your body's starving for nutrition. And your body really needs the micronutrients. So all those things that make that energy pathway work, okay? So micronutrients and water, because water is the way that nutrients and protein carriers are transported to the body and toxins are excreted. So water and micronutrients are more important than your protein, carbohydrate, and fat, because without the micronutrients, guess what? In the water, you can't use that protein, carbohydrate, and fat. And in today's world where a lot of produce is grown with pesticides and herbicides or GMOs, it's really hard to get enough of those micronutrients from food alone. They say we're the most nourished but undernourished country, okay, because our micronutrient status is severely low, but we eat way too many calories. And that's a fact. The standard American diet, it's very inflammatory, very nutrient poor, because it's made up of dairy, grains, and protein, Getting into protein and kind of Frankie's beef. Frankie couldn't be here tonight. She owns a local farm out here and raises her own grass-fed beef. This is where it does matter what you eat as well, okay? So beef, like us, are not designed to eat grain, okay? They're designed to eat grass, okay? Nutritionally, when you look at the meat, okay, the amount of total fat, so we have saturated fat, which is not good for us, right? Goes to the liver, stores cholesterol, okay? And then we have our monounsaturated and our polyunsaturated fat, our good fats. The ratio of those is about the same in grain-fed or grass-fed, but it's of those good fats, the poly and the unsaturated, where it differs, okay? So in grass-fed, it has more omega-3, okay? It's got about a 1-to-1 ratio of omega-3 to omega-6, okay? We need both of those omegas. We can't make it in our body, so we have to get them from the food we eat. When they're in that ratio, they do the roles they're supposed to, okay? Grain-fed has much higher. They have about an another sample. Grain-fed eggs are another sample where that ratio becomes bigger. When omega-6 is that much more than omega-3, it becomes really inflammatory to the body, okay? So from a fatty acid standpoint, the grass-fed's much less inflammatory than the grain-fed, okay? That ratio is better. The other thing in those polyunsaturated fats, we have three: stearic, palmitic, and stearic acid. And the stearic is more likely to be used as energy, less inflammatory, and the grass-fed has a higher amount of that than the grain-fed, which has more of the myristic, which is going to go also to the liver to increase that bad cholesterol. So the grass-fed, from a nutritional, inflammatory standpoint, better for you than the grain-fed. It also is much higher in CLA, which is something we get from mother's milk if you're breastfed. Okay, it's really good antioxidant. It boosts immune function, and because the grass-fed, okay, their guts are healthier. Their pH doesn't change from the grains that they're eating. They have more good bacteria in their guts. They produce more CLA. Okay, the grain-fed has them much lower. Micronutrients like vitamin A, vitamin E are also higher in the grass-fed. So nutritionally, it's just a better choice from nutrient status and inflammatory status.
And Frankie delivers to PTA every Thursday. So if you ever want to order anything, it's every Thursday, right? So
Yeah, join us on Friday workouts.
yeah,
So you guys
she'll be here on Friday, so she'll talk to her then.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Anybody have any questions?
Are you just overwhelmed by all the information you get? How do we
Hope it's not too much.
I'm
try to
always
keep it
amazed
simple.
at the things that Katie says. I just sit here in awe of the knowledge
And
that you have.
it's all written down what she said. So you guys have
Yes.
to know all of it.
So you're saying like for the proteins and each meal, are you talking like or what is your
Yeah, so if you're doing a fast, it might only be 1 or 2 meals, right? Okay, and that's what it's going to be in a fast, because you're shortening that window, so now you're only going to have 2 meals, Still eat till when you're satisfied, don't feel like, oh my gosh, she said I might not eat enough. You have to eat enough. 2 meals is okay. And I say choose your fasting day maybe to be a day where you're just walking or hiking with the family. You're not doing a HIIT workout, okay? Because you don't need as much energy, right? Like our nutrition status is going to change based on how active we are, right? Okay. Other days, try for 3 meals. Try not to snack. Sometimes just see, is it a habit that I'm snacking? Or am I just having a snack because my kids are, or am I physically hungry? If you're eating your meals and you're physically hungry, listen to that, have something.
If you're just watching Idol and you're just eating,
Yeah.
like that's not
I know.
a reason.
Or I'm like, I get the biggest crap for falling asleep for movies. So then if I eat something, I'll stay awake. No, that's not the right
I
reason.
tried to put tea in my
Something.
hand, so I still have my hand something to do.
Yes.
So if we're trying it for an 18-hour, 1 to 2 days a week, then what type of fasting period should we have on the other days?
I say 12.
12.
12. Yep, 12 is good. Yeah, great question.
Anybody else have
You guys
anything?
can also bug us during the week. You're
Yeah,
probably gonna get in your first week and then be like, wait, what? What do I say?
And even in the group text, because often someone else's question helps other people. So I think it's great to have that to support each other.
And if you come across a recipe that you love or you want to share with everybody, you can throw that in there too. If you want to complain about Katie's workout on Friday, you can do that.
I do that during the work.
Yeah, typically same.
I'll let you know.
Like yours today.